Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now, today we're going to talk about how to break generational poverty in your lineage. That's how to break generational poverty in your lineage. Too often, many people, especially in places like Africa, Asia, and even in Black America, they they have this belief that their poverty is caused by generational causes. I have a childhood friend, I often help him financially and I try to give him tips. And once he was telling me, look, Pastor Reno, just forget about it. It's, just a generational cause in my family. And I had to tell him, look, there is no generational cause. First and foremost, generational causes do not exist. Do not exist in the Old Testament of Scripture, yes, but they've been broken. Christ died and he nailed the ordinances that were against you to his execution. It's gone. You will have no generational curse. But why then are people poor? It's not because of any generational curse. It's because of generational bad habits. It's because of generational bad habits. And I've studied this thing. I've studied it, as a pastor. I've studied it as an economist. I've studied it as an advisor to a president. I've seen data. I know what I'm talking about. It's generational bad habits that cause generational poverty, not generational causes. I'll give you a very good example. You have a man, his great grandfather, his great grandfather got married when he was poor. He had, not much. He got married at that stage when he was poor. His grandfather got married when he was poor. His father got married when he was poor. And, those are the generational bad habits that led to generational poverty. And then now the man, his father had him when he was poor. He resented that poverty. Maybe he saw richer neighbors, or maybe within his own family he saw his own richer cousins, and then he felt a very deep resentment and inferiority complex. Maybe he expected their own parents to look after him, and when they didn't, there was more resentment, more bad blood. And then he grew up. Now he's an adult, and then he wants to get married. He doesn't have a good job. Maybe he doesn't even have a job at all. He doesn't have a business and he wants to get married. And then when you go and approach that person and you tell him, oh, listen, but you know what? Why don't you try to financially stabilize yourself before you get married? He begins to tell you the same thing that his great grandfather, his grandfather, and his father said. Marriage brings blessings. Children bring blessings. First and foremost, there's nothing like that in scripture. But then they believe that. And then he goes and gets married and he repeats the same old generational bad habits that has brought, poverty in his lineage. And it's not just that. Sometimes, even money comes their way. But those generational bad habits make them not able to use that money sensibly. So the great grandfather, when he got some money, what did he do? He married a second wife. The grandfather, when he got some money, what did he do? He married a second wife. The father, when he got some money, what did he do? He bought a second car. Now, you have some money. What are you doing? You want to go and buy a second iPhone, a second designer, something, maybe designer cloth or designer shoe. And so you are spending money on liabilities. And that is the generational bad habit in your lineage. You see, when you buy liabilities, well, when you spend money on liabilities, you're making somebody else rich. But when you spend money on assets, you're making yourself rich. Now, you might ask me, you say, okay, well, the great grandfather, he married the second wife. A human being cannot be a liability. That's not true. If you get married to one wife, that is an asset. If you get married to more than one wife, in most cases, it's a liability. You're going to have trouble in the home. There's going to be jealousy. You're not going to be able to focus on building your wealth. You start settling family crises. So it's this generational bad habits that has led you and your lineage to poverty. It's not some generational curse. It's not some generational curse. And we have to understand, a lot of people misunderstand money. They misunderstand money. They misunderstand. Like if you read the parable of the talents that Christ taught us in Matthew chapter 25, you start from verses 14 all the way to verses 30, you begin to understand money. Most people have been born and brought up with this false mentality that the way to become wealthy is to make money. You see, and that's not true. There is nothing like that in scripture. There is nothing like that in economics. I have experience. I can tell you this. Not only as a pastor, I've been a presidential spokesperson and being very close to a president, listening to briefings from some of the best economists in the world. You cannot get rich by making money. No, you can only get rich by multiplying money. There's a big difference. You cannot get rich by making money. You can only get rich by multiplying money. And that's one thing, that it's a bad generational habit that people have gotten from generation to generation, which leads to their poverty. A lot of people think that, you get money, it's a safe place, you go and put money in banks. Banks are not a safe place for your money. If you look at Forbes, if you look at just get Forbes rich list, get Forbes rich list. You see the 100 richest people in the world. You will never see the rationale for their wealth as money in the bank. You'll only see, okay, he's wealthy, he's got these assets here, 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 he's got these assets here, 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 this one has got these assets here, here, here. It's assets that make people wealthy. When you go and you park your money, you park your money in the bank, what happens? You see, it's like taking a block of ice and then you just put it on the table. Gradually, that block of ice starts to melt, and as it's melting, it's reducing in size until it's completely gone. It's vaporized. It's gone forever. So when you put money in banks, what happens? You have devaluation, inflation, deflation, government policies, all affecting your money. I'll give you a very good example. Take a country like Nigeria. If you parked ₦1,000,000 in a bank in Nigeria, say at the beginning of January of 2021, that money was equivalent to something like $2,750. Now, January in 2022, because of the devaluation, because of the inflation, because of the bad economic policies of the government, that money is now worth less than as a matter of fact, that money is now worth about $1,700. So you see, the money has evaporated, it has shrunk in size because you kept it in the bank. Even if they're giving you one of the highest increases that interest rate that they can give, which is 10%, your money is still going down. But then you ask yourself, what do banks do with your money? What do banks do with your money? Banks, they don't keep your money in a vault and then magically they start praying to God and the money starts to multiply. No, they take your money and they invest it. They take your money and they invest it. Now, a lot of poor people who have poverty in their generation, they are afraid of investing money because there is a risk that their money is going to be lost. So that's the truth. There is a risk that your money is going to be lost. And it's true. If you invest money, there's a risk that your money is going to be lost. But here's the thing, there is a greater risk that your money is going to be lost if you put it in the bank than if you invest it. And how do I know? Because of data. You see, the best predictor of future events is past events. The best predictor of future events is past events. And if you look at the history of the stock market, if you look at the history of the ETF is the exchange traded fund. If you look at the history of mutual funds, even now new products that have come on stream like crypto, if you look at the history of crypto, you find out that over time, they go up more than they go down. Over time, they go up more than they go down. So people who are poor, they have this bad habit. They want to make money overnight. You can't make money overnight. You make money over time. Over time. And so when you look at this, you look at all of them, you look at the stock market, you look at the mutual funds, you look at ETF, exchange traded funds, you look at treasury bills, you look at treasury bonds. Over time, you look at cryptocurrency, over time, these things tend to go up more than they go down. So you park your money in these things. You park your money in those areas. And then when you park your money in those areas, you wait. You don't be greedy, you wait. You make some money, there's an increase. What do? You don't pull up your money immediately and you go and marry a second wife or buy a second car, or you just go frolicking, go on a tour abroad. No. You take in your capital. And then when you take your capital, then you reinvest your profit. So even if the market just goes down suddenly, you don't feel bad. I'll give you a very good example. If you bought Bitcoin in 2013, you bought Bitcoin at a rate of $1. So now Bitcoin is about $51,000. If you read in the papers that Bitcoin lost $10,000 all of a sudden and it has fallen to $41,000, you're not going to feel bad. Why? Because you bought Bitcoin at $1. So you can afford to wait. And that's how you invest. You have to understand, that's how you invest. So think about these things that I've told you. And then begin to change your money habits. Begin to change your habits, your assets. Stop buying liabilities. Stop buying liabilities. You see a lot of false wealth in places like Nigeria, Ghana. I've traveled everywhere, so I have first-hand knowledge. In Kenya, you see a lot of false wealth. You see a lot of black folk. You see them wearing designer shoes. You see them wearing designer clothes. You see them, with women, they have some hair that costs like in fact $2,000. They have hair. But then, what happened? Let's take a country like Nigeria. Like the Central Bank of Nigeria released data last year, and they found out that the average bank account in a country like Nigeria contains less than, can you imagine? Less than 500,000 naira. And then when you quantify that, that's less than $1,000, the average bank account. So people are having pseudo wealth, false wealth. They're spending money on liabilities, instead of spending money on assets. A lot of times, I see people, they complain to me that, oh, Pastor Reno, why do you like to wear shorts and shirts? You are a big man, or you are a big boy. You shouldn't be dressing like that. How I dress has no reflection on my wealth. I'm wealthy. And I don't need to prove it to anybody that I'm wealthy. I dress according to the weather. I travel a lot. I travel in the Caribbean when it's hot. I wear shorts. I don't have to dress to prove to you that I'm wealthy. So now, I've taught you these things. My name is Rena Omakri. If you watch this and you have questions, you put them in the comment section. My staff are very, very good at curating comments. They bring them to me and I respond to them. If you see me responding to a question in the comment section, it's me. It's not my staff. But then you got to be careful. You got scammers who have created YouTube profiles because they see that my videos tend to go viral, and then they poach people. They use my pictures and they say helpline, guideline. I don't have a WhatsApp forum. I don't have a Telegram channel. I certainly do not have a Gmail email address. So I've got verified social media profiles, and you can see that blue tick, the blue check mark. Those are my verified social media profiles. So you can ask your questions there, or you can ask your questions in the comment section of this video. Now, thank you again for watching, and God bless you.